podcasting. He has spreadsheets for everything. I met him yesterday. He has spreadsheets for what the best price stroller is, what the best price phone deal is. Like, it's layers and layers and pages. This guy knows what he's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Chris Hutchins!
Hello. So I was watching the TikTok versus YouTube conversation earlier, and I was thinking I didn't really get a chance to defend podcasting. So my goal today is to give you a masterclass in 15 minutes about why podcasting deserves your attention and how, if you get in that channel, you can make $1 million. So let's jump in. So why am I talking here? So I started a podcast about 2.5 years ago called All the Hacks. It's about upgrading your life, your money, your travel. I'm a crazy optimizer about all of these things. We hit 1 million downloads in the first 8 months. We just this July hit $1 million in total revenue, and we're on track to do that every year now. And we're at about 350,000 downloads per month. And we did it with a team of really just 1 or 2 people, but now we're up to 5 people. So you might be asking, oh, well, is this all possible because you've been a content creator? And I meant to do a slide right here to tell you about how I've not been a content creator my whole life. I was totally new to this. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have associated myself as being a creator at all. But I was doing some research to see if that was true, and I found all these old pictures when I was a kid of me making presentations in Microsoft Publisher, making video book reports, making silly rap videos with friends, and I've even launched a blog 4 different times. None of them stuck. So I was convinced. I never thought I was a creator, even though maybe I'd done that. And I didn't actually know at all what I wanted to do. I took a very circuitous path, going through investment banking, startups, investing, product management, backpacking around the world. That was my path to podcasting. And it was not easy, it was not straightforward. It took me 11 jobs in 14 years to find something that I guess I'd call my calling. And so my takeaways here for you all is that you might be a creator and not even realize it, though if you're here today, I'm guessing you are a creator. You might not even know what the right medium is. I've been trying to create my whole life and never found success. You can argue I was a creator, just not a good creator because I hadn't figured it out. And it might take a long time. It took me forever to even find what I was doing, and I wasn't even expecting it. But that's enough about me. We're not here to talk about me, we're talking about podcasts. So I want to talk about why I think it's an interesting medium. And I'm going to start talking about something that makes it very unique. I think podcasting is one of the most intimate forms of media, and it's as if the guests and the hosts that you're hearing from are inside your head. It's as if you've built a relationship with them that's very different from other channels. And there was a study done by UC that looked at what happens when you listen to audio conversations with headphones. And they found that it produces this kind of phenomenon called in-head localization, which actually creates the kind of intimacy that's almost indistinguishable from real intimacy you have with people like friends and family. So it creates for this amazing medium that's very different from video, very different from social, but it's not just that. I want to talk about some of the numbers. Podcasting, for those who aren't familiar, 465 million listeners worldwide, 80 million weekly in the US, 2.3 billion in ad spending in every year, and growing to about 4 billion in a couple years. Now, people here that are familiar with YouTube might say, well, YouTube's at 30 billion, so why should we waste our time here? Yes, YouTube has 10 times more ad revenue, but podcasting has 1/25th of the number of listeners. And so, if you look at this, I'm even being generous. Apple is probably arguably the right number to look at, and they're at 2.5 million podcasts. So I think it's still really early. And if you look last year, there were 4 million podcasts. I still think that number is bigger than it should be. So if you just look at podcasts that have made 10 episodes, you drop that number down to 1.3 million. Now let's look at people who have 10 episodes and have had 1 in the last year. You're at 600,000. And now you look at 10 episodes and 1 in the last 10 days, and you're only down to 155,000 podcasts. So that means that if you can make a podcast, do 10 episodes in a row and keep going, you'll be in the top 5%. And it's super easy. I started with this microphone for a year. It was $80. You could probably start with your iPhone and it doesn't matter. You can edit with free software. Descript is one of the easiest out there. It makes editing a podcast as easy as Google Docs. Highlight text, cut, clip, super easy. And that's all you need to create that kind of intimate relationship with your audience. But that intimate relationship has a lot of benefits that I think are unique to podcasting. So a friend of mine has a channel on both YouTube and a podcast, and I took one of his episodes that was the most popular that hit over 100,000 downloads and views on each platform. And on YouTube, an hour into this episode, you had 21% of people were still listening. And on audio, you had 76. Almost 4 times as many people are still engaged. On YouTube, he lost 50% of the people before he hit 1 minute. So you have a very, very different profile of listener when you're creating a podcast. I could argue that a podcast download is worth probably 3 to 4 times more than a YouTube view, and I would argue that maybe advertisers would as well. And so it's just a very different thing that I think a lot of people don't recognize when you look at it. There's a few other things under the hood that are different, and I promise we're going to get to making money. So one, when you create a video, if you want to put it on every platform, you have to go to every platform. That's a title on every platform, a thumbnail, a description, a video file, everything. With a podcast, you actually own the hosting of that content. So you have an RSS feed, and everyone just references it. So if you want to change your audio file, if you want to put an ad in it, if you want to move it around, if you want to change the title, the description, the show notes, everything, it automatically propagates to every single platform out there. And not only does that happen, but you get centralized analytics, and you can see what's happening on every platform, 50 plus podcast players, all in one place. So it's very easy to hit a lot of distribution channels from one place with a podcast. I think video is more difficult. And I'm not trying to say video is bad. I didn't get a chance to defend podcasting a few minutes ago, so I'm going to try. There's also something interesting. When you own the audio file that people are listening to, you can do things in real time that you can't do on other platforms. So I pulled up an episode of my show, and I said, here are the 5 insertion points I want to be able to put brand partnerships. And this is kind of a schedule of the brand partnerships I have. And when someone hits that MP3 file, whether it's in Spotify or anyone else, in real time, the audio gets rendered with those ads in it. And so if you look at an episode, you can see the ads get inserted. But let's say I do a partnership with a brand and we commit to doing 50,000 impressions. Well, as soon as it hits 50,000, some of these campaigns, you can't see that well, are grayed out. As soon as one stops, the next one comes in. So if you had an episode and you were selling 50,000 impressions to a brand partner, and that episode hit 200,000 impressions, you could have sold that episode 4 times over. And so there's just a lot of flexibility when you own your own channel, and that unlocks a lot of things you can do. But I will tell you one thing that is not great about podcasting, and we'll address it. And that's that there's no growth engine. You put a video out on YouTube, people watch it, like it, YouTube shows it to more people. Same thing on TikTok. Maybe if you're lucky, someone that works at Spotify likes your podcast and they'll give you like an editorial feature for a week. But other than that, it's on you to grow on your own. And that's what makes the channel hard, but that's what makes the channel so much easier to stand out if you can grow. So, recap, huge market, still feels early, easy to get started, building a really deep connection that has engagement, one-stop distribution, and flexible monetization. But the entire goal was about how to make $1 million. I assume that's why people are here. So, to make the math simple, I think you can do it over as much time as you want. We're gonna make it $1 million a year. That's our goal. And we're gonna try to walk through a way that anyone in this room could do this. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I at least wanna give you a roadmap. So, let's say you wanna make a weekly podcast, 52 episodes a year. Let's say I was at Podcast Movement and someone from Spotify said that the optimal number of ads in a 1-hour show for engagement was 7 to 8. I'm gonna be conservative and say 6. And then let's say you're selling these ads at $25 CPM, meaning for every 1,000 downloads, you're getting $25. That means you need 128,000 downloads an episode. That might seem like not that hard, that is a lot. More than twice what I'm doing on any episode I've done, so let's make it a little easier. Let's say you're young, you've got the time and energy to be producing 3 episodes a week, not just 1. So now you're at 156 episodes, now we're down to 43,000 downloads. Let's say that you really can build a relationship with your audience. You can only work with brands you really truly believe in. Let's say you go after a niche that isn't as served as a wide audience, and you can increase your CPM to $45. Well, now you only need 43,000 downloads. And last, now you only need 24,000, sorry. And then last, let's say that you don't rely solely on ad revenue. You could work with affiliates, you could have more partnerships, you could take trips with audiences, you could build products and services, and let's say you only need to rely on ads for half of your revenue, and now you're down to $12,000 an episode. So this is my formula for how you can get to $1 million with 12,000 downloads an episode, but there is one really important caveat. I think that the value of the relationship you have with listeners is more important than anything else. So yes, we do have a membership, we have built products, but when I think about those things, every single one of them, every time I think about working with a brand, I think about, is this going to 10x the value that a listener gets from being a part of it? So I'm not building a product and selling it for $1 if I think it's worth $1. I want to build a product and sell it for $1 that's worth $100, $1,000. I've actually had people email me and say, I paid $1 for this spreadsheet. Yeah, I'm talking about spreadsheets, to help you compare how to earn the most points from any different credit card. And he wrote back and said, I got so much value, I only paid $1. Can I send you $100? He actually said, can I send $100 to a charity of your choice? So keep this principle in mind always, because if you're not putting your listeners above everything else, it's just not going to work out in the long run. So how do you get those 12,000 listeners? I gave a talk at a conference once. Feel free to take a screenshot of everything you can do. The talk was an hour long, so we're not going to get to everything, but I'm going to boil it down to what I think are the most important lessons to build and grow a podcast. And that's that content is king. I think if you don't have content that resonates, nothing else matters. And if you're not authentic about that content, I think you're going to have a lot of problems. So there might be something cool and trending in the media, and you think, ooh, I'll start a podcast on it. If you don't love that topic, it's going to show through, and it's not going to work. So how you want to be unique is totally up to you. You can pick a unique topic, a unique way of delivering things, a unique style of editing, a unique perspective, but make it unique. And I think you want to be someone's favorite. What I mean by that is you don't want to just build a story that you think everyone will like. Build a story that 10% of your audience will love and go wild for. So what I'm looking for when I release any new episode is like, can I get one email from a listener that says, this was my favorite episode? And it doesn't have to be the same person each week, but that's how you're going to build the kind of loyal, excited audience that's going to help you grow, because you're not going to get that growth from any platform that's going to be viral. So if you want to know if your content's good, here's a way I do it. I love data. So there's a platform called Overcast, and it's a small app that you can use to listen to podcasts, and the benefit of it is that it's less expensive because there's a smaller audience. So they basically let you run ads. So I ran 4 ads for my show in 4 categories, and if you look, I got a rate of around 1.5 times as many people tapped it as expected, and almost 3 times as many people subscribed. That was enough for me to go all in on the podcast. I said the content must be good because more people are tapping the normal, the logo, the description, and more people are subscribing, the trailer, whatever they listen to. So that gave me, there is a way to test your content. Sometimes you can just believe in yourself, sometimes you can see what other people say, sometimes you can just pay to run an experiment. And then you want to do a good launch. So you can distribute everywhere, that's easy. In an hour you can be on 50 platforms. You can make a trailer. I think it's really valuable to give people a 1-minute version instead of asking them to listen to a 1-hour episode. But I do think when you launch, you want to take your 3 best episodes and put them out there so that people can really get a sense and build an excitement without waiting a week after they first found you. And then you just want to ask for all the favors. Like when we launched our podcast, I think I emailed everyone I'd ever emailed in Gmail and said, I'm launching this podcast. If you could promote it, share it, listen to it, subscribe it would mean the world to me. And then if there's any chance that you can have something big going on in your life, something press related, timing around that would be great. Probably the only reason I'm on this stage is because I got this random email about 2 or 3 years ago from someone that said, hey, can we make a video about you? I work in TV. And it was someone that worked directly with the Nos Daily team. We made this video about me and credit card points, and they told me it's gonna come out on Monday. And as soon as we made this, I knew the day this video comes out is the day I'm launching the podcast. And there was a little 2-second promo for the podcast in it, and that was what I chose to be my launch day. Last, if you want to get, this is the most simple advice, if you want to get in front of people who like podcasts, get in front of them while they're listening to podcasts. Find something you can become an expert in, and go present yourself as an expert on other shows and get in front of their audiences, but do it authentically. Listen to their show, find out what makes their show tick, and present that to them. And here's some quick data on how this works. I went on a show that got 69,630 downloads. I was the guest on the episode. 4,652 of those people came over and listened to my show. So if you want to get 12,000 people to listen to your show, you can go on 3 shows with 70,000 downloads, do a good job, and it could be possible in three appearances. And by the way, the reason this works is because you host the audio. There's actually, you can compare the IP address who listened to this episode, did that IP listen to my episode, and you can do a lot of really cool analytics. We're not gonna get into it. There's a wonderful article that First Round Capital wrote which was a playbook that a founder of a company used to go get on 100 podcasts. I would just search First Round Review, find this article, and he walks through that process, and then you gotta be patient. So, it's not something that happens overnight. There's no viral growth in podcasting. Maybe if you get in bed with Drake and make a video on the internet, you can do something, but otherwise I don't know of a way, so you gotta be patient. So listeners above everything, content is king, launch right, go on podcasts, and be patient. So good luck, but I have 3 final hacks. For those of you who are sitting here saying, I don't want a podcast, this isn't for me, there is one takeaway you can use. The study I talked about that showed that you can create an intimate relationship with your audience was really just about audio on headphones. So just tell everyone on your YouTube channel to put their headphones on. You can create a deep relationship without podcasts, get people to listen on headphones. 2, if you need money to buy a microphone, go search for unclaimed money. This is one of my favorite hacks. I've had listeners say find as much as $5,000 owed to them. California unclaimed money on your phone, put in your name, your address, and you'll find that you might have money owed to you. I would guarantee that at least one person in this room has more than $100 owed to them. And come find me if that's the case, and I'll talk about it on the show. And then last, as you grow your channels, one of the things that I wish I'd done earlier is just try to make sure that all the information about me is off the internet. It's something that I think people don't realize, your phone number, your address, all this stuff. I use a site called Delete Me. After I worked with them, I reached out to them and said, can you partner with me because I love the product? They scrub everything regularly. And to give you an example of one of the ways that I try to make $1 million podcasting, I try to be a really good brand partner. So this is my link for the brand deal that I have with them. You'll make them happy, you'll make me happy. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. The next person set up